Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello.
Thank you.
So to start off, I know Koreeda had already spoken before this film was fully realized that he wanted to work with you and other Korean actors. But in the same breath, did it feel not strange? How did it feel having a Japanese director come in and make a Korean film?
원래 이제 그 고레다가
In terms of my relationship with director Koreeda, I had met him multiple times when I visited Japan or when he visited Korea. So, he wasn't very foreign to me as a director, and I didn't really have feelings like that approaching the film.
Even in that same breath, do you feel that, not that you had to, but were there times during the production that maybe you felt there were certain lines of dialogue or certain things that culturally you could say, well, we wouldn't do that here in Korea. We have to make some changes.
글쎄 그
I think rather than kind of adjustments we had to make culturally, I really wanted the film to be clear that it wasn't a film specifically about like the system of a baby box, but rather that rather than being a specific story to Korea, that it was a universal story about the societal issues that we're trying to explore.
단지 이걸 소재로
Well, and with that too, where there's also parts that you saying that yes, it's important that there are these societal issues that we have to explore, but plus also that idea of family as a traditional word may mean something different when you get the right group of people together.
고레다 감독님의 그 가족에
Yeah,
대해서
and I really don't feel
일본
like the
일본
components
감독님은
of a
그렇지만
family are important in Koreeda
실제로
films,
생각을
and
하면
you'll
그렇게
recognize this
말씀을
in many
하시는데
other films that he's
그때가
made.
아니라
I think
어,
he's really
어,
trying to explore and say something about the emotions
상황이나
that
인간만이
go
만들 수 있는
beyond the structure of a
어,
family, how someone who is precious to
마음의
you
어떤
can
그
evoke these precious emotions in you.
정확한
I
그러니까
think that's what he's really
가족
trying to say.
이상의 어떤 감정들을 얘기를
Now, when Dong Su talks about how the reason why it's better that they take care of selling off this child is because he feels that the family that they're going to choose to sell it off would give that child a better upbringing. From his character from the get go, even if not fully, you do believe that's his true intentions. Do you think Sang Hyun ever had that from the get go, or those are also his same feelings the entire time, or that grew within him as well as the story progresses?
상현이라는 그 캐릭터에서도
I think Hagyeon is a character that explores the idea that like the film isn't about like here is a set structure to life. And it's not trying to pose the question, how can you live the happiest life? Rather, I think it's
내가
an
스스로
observation of,
사는 것이
these characters' lives
행복하게 사는
and
것인가를
kind of throwing the
고민하는
question to the
영화라고
audience of how
생각하는
should I live
영화인데
my life? And that
어,
was sort of the approach I took
살아가고 있는
into
모습을 봤을 때
acting this character's
어떻게 살
Sangyeon with
것인가라는
a type of
판단력이
flexibility
필요하다는
and to
의미에서
provoke question.
그렇게 연기를 했습니다.
Well, it's also, I mean, I guess it plays into the fact that he's out of his own control in many ways, not able to even care for his own child. So he's able to kind of, why can't I think of the simplest word right now? To project that to these other children.
그렇죠. 세상은
Yeah, and I think this character is
두 개가
someone
가지고
who tries to express that there is no
거기에
definitive
좋은
good
사람이 있고
person or
나쁜
bad
사람이
person,
아니라
right? It's
살다
all
보면
situational in
자기가
the
모르게
choices that
좋은
these
선택을
characters
할 수
have to
있고
make.
나쁘게 갈 수
So
있는
rather
그런
than,
모습의
trying to understand this character as someone who's
상현이라는 인물을
telling the audience something, I
생각합니다.
wanted him to be,
그래서
yeah,
상현을
provoking a
이해하려면
question that allows the
어떻게
audience
해야
to
될
think
것이고
about these questions for themselves.
사회는 이렇게 해야 될 것이다라는 말을 하는 게
That's interesting too, because I think that when I watch a movie and I'm sitting here watching the events that are taking place only in the movie, I can definitely see where the dichotomy of that character is. But do you think about the versions before and after where they may have not always thought the same way, or is it only what's being presented in the film?
Yeah, of course. I've made
그게
my own sort of
유추는 되죠. 그러니까
predictions
상상은
about
되겠지만
where he was, before we meet
그렇게
and after we meet him in the film.
행복하게 살아왔던
And I,
분은
I
아니고
don't think he was
그리고
necessarily
자기가
someone
원하는 대로
who
삶이
was very
되어진다고
happy with his
생각하는
life before we
아니고
meet him. And
그냥
nor has
이,
things really gone his way. But
조커의
I'd like to
어떤
think
여정이
that,
끝난 뒤에는
after we see
결국은
him, in the events that occur in the film. Not that he has a happy ending or things get better for him, but I think there's a level of comfort that comes with him acknowledging and like learning from the experiences that he goes through with these characters when we meet him in Broker.
Yeah, because of course we don't fully see what but we do know what he does at the end of the film, and we can say that whether it works out or not, we know he's still trying.
Of course, Sang-hyun, he disappears at the end of the film, but I don't see this as him running away. I see him as trying to find a path for comfort in the reality and situation that he was given. And that's how I interpret this sort of ending for him.
상현의 어떤 인생에서.
And I'm going to have to let you go soon. So to wrap things up, I am also interested in going back to that idea of not necessarily thinking about what is good and what is bad and what is nice and what is evil, let's say. But if Dong-soo and Sang-hyun weren't in their own situations, let's say they had their own, not perfect life, but good life, do you think they would see Moon Sun-young in a different light, knowing what she went through and what she did, compared to what they experienced knowing their own lives that led up to it?
그럴 수도 있죠. 그러니까
yeah, I think that both Dong-soo and Sang-hyun, these are two characters that have felt the exhaustion of life and honestly might continue to feel this exhaustion in the future. And while they feel a sense of camaraderie with the life that So-young has led, I don't think they care for her because of necessarily the life that they have led. If anything, I think that, you know, the audience necessarily isn't, you know, Sang-hyun or Dong-soo. They are not the same. But I think that it's really asking the audience to care for So-young, maybe even in the way that these two characters aren't able to. And I think that this is what the film poses.
중요한 거는
Thank you so much for your time. It's always great seeing you both to talk to you and on the screen.
See you later. Thank you.
See you later.